Welcome back to another episode of Midlife Playbook. A special episode. As always, I'm Matt here with Naeem.
What's up?
Special guest day. Special guest day.
Special guest, eh?
Special guest
What are
day.
you from Ireland?
Don't worry about where I'm from. But before we get to our special guest, we're going to go ahead and cheers.
Crack a beer.
Crack a beer.
Oh, you guys
Cheers.
are cheating.
Sorry.
Oh, you didn't bring one?
I didn't bring one.
That's
So,
all right. We'll
nobody-
drink one for you.
He's remote,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. He's wired in.
He's
to
live
us.
via satellite.
Yeah.
Before we get to our special guest, got the fun fact of the day. Did you know most people cannot lick their own elbow?
Most people.
Yeah,
Isn't-
see,
isn't
he's
that
trying.
everybody?
Everybody that just tried, you're welcome.
Unless your tongue is really, really long.
You cannot lick your own elbow.
I don't know how you should do that.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
I just do. I find
It
stuff.
just comes to you.
It just comes to me while I'm sleeping. I have epiphanies. So special guest.
So introduce our guy.
I
Who we
will.
got?
So our special guest today, his name's Bryan Rogers. Bryan and I have known each other for 16 years. We met
Yes.
through our wives. Our wives were BFFs in high school, growing up together. So that's how we met. And funny story, when Bryan and I first met, we were just kind of like our wife's friend's husband. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
Like, I don't want
That guy.
dude. Don't want to meet this dude, right?
It's not my
So
type. I don't know if I can hang out with him.
he's not even bald. Look, he still has hair. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
This sounds like
That's
a
why you
love
guys
affair.
wear hats all the time.
Get to it. My God. When I saw him, his eyes looked into mine and we had a connection.
So the funny story of when we knew we were going to be friends, we went on vacation together once, and Jamie and I had got there first. We were in like this lounge area eating, and Bryan shows up with his wife, and I had a drink, and I said, "Hey, man, why don't you drink this?" And he's like, "What is it?" I said, "Don't worry
Well,
about it."
You gotta hold on a second. As I'm walking up, I still have my bags.
Yeah,
Carrying my bags because we haven't even been to our room yet.
that's right. I forgot. So he still has his backpack on, got his whatever, his luggage. I said, "Hey, man, drink this." He's like, "What is it?" I said, "Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about
He
it.
grabbed it and bottoms up, right?
So
So
that's it.
that's it. That's the
yeah,
funny
that's the
story.
mark of a
Yeah.
good friend. Oh, that was a funny
That
story.
was a funny story.
My bad.
All right, let's get to the meat and bones of this. Jesus Christ. That's
leave
unbelievable.
the funny stories to me, guys.
So the reason we have Bryan on today, Bryan, why don't you tell us? So Bryan has a unique job that we thought would be great to hear his perspective on kind of the topics we have talked about, which is kind of dealing with stress at home, a work-life balance, and how men kind of internalize work stresses and life stresses, right?
Mhm.
Bryan, why don't you give us a history of what you do and where you're at right now?
A history of what I do. Is gonna be a
Yeah, what do you
long
do?
history.
Yeah.
I'm a police officer. I work in law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Speak up
I have-
just a touch.
Is this better?
That is
Yeah,
better.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. So those from the cheap seats, I work in law enforcement. I've
Okay.
been doing it for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I've been
Uh,
doing it a while, right?
yeah, I've been in some sketchy situations. So when you're talking about stress, yeah, trying to deal with that stuff at work and not bring it home to the family.
So exactly, right? So that's something I talked about too, not bringing it home to your family. So how
Yeah.
easy is that for you to do? Because I'm sure you see the worst of people at their worst points in their lives.
Oh, absolutely, I do. How do I how do I not bring it home?
Right.
Honestly, it takes practice. Is when you go through the academy, I mean, they talk about that stuff and they flat out tell you, like, leave work at work, go home and have your home life. But with some of the stuff that we see, it's not always that easy.
Right.
Um, and people in the past are like, give me some advice on how you cope with it. It's different for everybody. I mean, it's a learned process. It's not something that you just wake up one day and say, "Hey, I got this." I mean,
Right.
I've been doing this for a while, and there's still days today before I come home and I walk through the door and my family can see it in my face and they're like, "Yeah, we need to leave him alone for about half hour, an hour.
Right.
Let him kind of calm down a little bit
Yeah.
before we start talking to him."
Right.
So the family knows. They understand. They can read my body language, and they know when I've had a rough day. So
Do you prefer not to talk about it at home? Is that part of leaving work at work?
it's not a preference. It's knowing your audience.
Right,
Um, like with my wife, I could talk to her about some of the stresses. I don't give her details about stuff.
right.
Um, my daughters, on the other hand, they want story time. So sometimes they get the details. Some of the bad details, I keep those to myself.
Right,
I don't talk about those because I mean this is my wife and kids. They don't need to hear about stuff. So
right. So, and I'm sure it's hard to get away from, right? So, I heard
yeah.
you had a little, got into something a little bit today maybe even, right? Just tried to get dinner.
Just trying to get dinner. We ordered Chipotle, and I'm standing there in line with my youngest daughter in the to go line, waiting on our order to get done. And a lady walked in and wanted to speak to a manager because they messed up her order, and she simply she walked up there and she opened it up and she was like, this is unacceptable. I mean, I ordered this, and her food portions were probably half the size of what they would. It didn't have all the ingredients in it. And one manager told her, "Well, I'm not going to remake that for you because it looks like it's been eaten out of." And she literally just picked it up like 5 minutes before. So they started arguing right there in the middle of Chipotle, and it created a huge scene. And about half the customers that were there actually left. They said that they were not going to eat there anymore, not going to order food there anymore. And I had to step in the middle of it because of the arguing. And
So, you just never get to turn it off sometimes, do you?
yeah, you never get to turn it off. No,
So you were in full uniform though when this happened, right?
no, I was in civilian clothes.
Oh, you're a civilian. Oh, see, that was me. That's none of my
Yeah,
business. Ah,
I mean, I get attest to
yeah,
me and Brian have been out before. We were at BW3s or something, and I forget what it was, but the waitress was, like, having an issue with one of the customers or something,
yeah,
and we're trying to have dinner, and Brian here had to get involved and had to, like, show his badge, and stuff de-escalated real quick. So
yeah.
how easy is it? Is it easy for you, or can you turn it off, so to speak, when you're not at work? Or is it
When you
just
say
incredibly difficult?
it's hard
Yeah,
because it's not what I do, it's who I am.
right.
So it's
Mm,
if I'm out and a situation pops up, then a lot of it is what kind of situation is it?
right,
I mean, is it going to be a situation, even though I work in law enforcement, do I just need to call the local jurisdiction and get them here? Or can I intervene, show my badge real quick, de-escalate it, and go home? So
right.
it's a quick decision that I have to make when I'm on scene. And like tonight, I ended up having to pull my badge tonight because one of the workers says, "Well, I'm just going to call the cops." So I pulled my badge out and said, "Well, I'm already here, so let's deal with this."
right, right. When have you ever intervened and it went wrong? That's what I
Uh,
want to know.
to be honest with you, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I'm not saying that there's not a time, but I can't think of anything.
But you're a big guy. Just so people know,
Yeah,
you're what, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'4", 240.
6'4", 240. So you're a big guy. I mean, you have an
Yeah,
imposing stature, if you
yeah,
will. And so, people probably don't want to try you, and especially when you show the badge as well, listen,
yeah.
this can turn
This is the
into a
way it
legal
is.
matter real fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I guess it probably hasn't gone wrong, but
I mean, you
you know,
remember
Well,
our
Matt will tell you.
situation with him. Remember our
Matt,
situation with him at the
at the
music
concert,
concert? Yeah.
yeah. Ah, well, I mean, well, he's 6'4", you're 6'12",
I'm
whatever
I'm not
you are.
6'12", that's 7 foot.
And
I'm 6'14".
and so I just stand next to you guys and just
well,
say, "All right, handle it."
everybody has to have a short friend. It keeps us humble. So
Listen, you didn't have to call me short. People can extrapolate the details through the conversation. Listen, I'm normal height. You guys are just abnormally large.
He's not normal height. I think
yeah.
the average height in America for man's 5'9",
5'8", and I'm 5'7" and 3/4.
Did
which
you
is
just
also
he just tried to sit up in his chair to make himself as tall as you are, Matt.
I did. See, fuck you, Brian. Oh, I did.
Yeah.
And you just tried to sit up, make yourself taller. What a dick.
Everybody's sitting up. We're all taller now.
See, jeez. I had a cop behind me today, so I had to drive to Lexington, and I was on the highway, and the speed limit, for whatever reason, I guess it was a work zone, but there wasn't any work going on, but it dropped down to 45. And
Yeah.
so I was clipping along at about 65, thinking I'm doing the speed limit. No, I'm doing 65 miles an hour on a 45-mile zone. But he was right behind me. And I was always told that, from people that I've known who were law enforcement, just said, when I get behind you, I really don't want to pull you over. I just want you to get out of my way. So I was like, this guy's either going to give me a ticket, and I'm just going to switch lanes. And sure enough, he right
Well,
past me. So it was a good day.
there's some truth. There's some truth in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like raining outside real hard. Nobody's trying to get wet, right?
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah. You want to speed fly in the rain. That's
That is
smart.
a rookie decision right there.
Right.
I'm gonna pull somebody over in the rain. You want to get wet? Go for it, dude.
Right.
So,
Right.
so there's a little more to your story too. So you are in law enforcement, but you're also do some specialized stuff too, right?
I
You're
do.
used to, maybe not so much anymore, but talk about SWAT a little bit.
Yeah. I've done SWAT for about 12 years now,
Yeah,
but being that I am a little older now,
right.
I don't kick the doors in anymore. I leave that for the younger guys. So actually, I'm a scout sniper, so for the team. So I get to lay 100 yards out and protect my guys from a distance. So
Man,
That is
that
awesome. I did not know that.
I told you. Yes, you did.
No,
Why
oh,
don't
no,
you?
you
You
did you
never,
did mention that to me. I
you
just
never
wasn't
listen to
listening.
me when I
No,
talk.
I
I don't
totally
even know
no.
who you are anymore. So, what do you feel like is more? I don't know if enjoyable is the right word. Maybe fulfilling when you're everyday police officer, or when you get that call for SWAT.
what's the most fulfilling thing about it?
Yeah, yeah. Which one?
It honestly, it depends on the day. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been in some SWAT situations where you've got barricaded subjects, you've got hostage situations. If you're talking about SWAT in general, the hostage situations, being able to come out of those, nobody getting hurt, we're able to
yeah.
get the people out. That is very, very satisfying. I
Got it.
mean, that just tells us that we did our job.
Right.
In the everyday life, I mean, it's usually your bad calls, like your domestic violence calls, where I mean the shit's just hitting the fan,
Yeah.
and you're showing up and you're trying to de-escalate, and whether it's the male or female, I mean, of course, statistics showing it's usually the female that's the victim. We have seen it the other way around,
Right.
um, but it's going in there and de-escalating that situation and just helping them out, whether it's the female or the kids or a combination of both.
Man.
Those are pretty justifying. So
Yeah,
So,
that's feel good.
one question. So you see on like TikTok or Facebook, and I don't know what it's called, but you see all these people recording that are just trying to give cops a hard time.
yep,
Like, you know what I'm talking about? What is that?
yeah,
Like,
you
they just go up to people, and they go up to cops, they act like they know more than you, they know the law better than you do, they start recording you, they start giving you a hard time just to get a rise out of you, right? Just to get
oh yeah,
whatever out of you. Have you had anybody do that with you?
oh
Like, where
yeah.
they're recording you, they're trying to push your buttons to get you to what do? You just talk them through it, you know what I mean?
I don't push their buttons, and when they're trying to escalate the situation and try to get a rise out of me, that's when I'll sit
When
there
there
and have
is
a
no
conversation.
situation, right?
Yeah,
There is no
I'll
situation.
I'll have a conversation with them, but I'm not giving them any information. I'll sit there and talk to you, but you're not going to get a rise out of me because I know that's what they're trying to do, and it's just not going
They're
to happen.
auditors, that's what they call themselves,
First
auditors.
First Amendment auditors, yeah.
So is that you feel like that really does happen a lot out there?
Oh, it does.
Really?
We see them quite a bit. I think.
And they just come up to you out of nowhere and they just start doing whatever.
Yeah, we'll be on scene for something totally different, and you'll see them off the side filming, or they'll try to walk onto the scene and have a conversation with you, and you have to ask them to back up, and then they start talking about, oh, you're violating my First Amendment rights. I've got a right to do this, and basically the answer is, yeah, you do have a right to do it, but you can't enter my scene. You can do it from over there.
Man,
So, well, okay, you 2 are obviously talking about something that you both know about that I don't know about. So for people who are listening that don't know what you guys are talking about, who are these people?
so
They're just shit starters?
pretty much, they call themselves First Amendment auditors. I gotta learn how to talk.
Yeah,
And the way I understand, I'm sure you've seen them on TikTok or you've seen them on Facebook where they're recording their interaction with a police officer.
Mhm.
Like maybe they've gone into a store, the store owners have asked them to leave, they're refusing to leave, so they call the police show up, and then they start throwing out all these constitutional rights and all this stuff that they have to be there. And
they're
what they're
basically trying to get the officer to violate their rights so they can have a lawsuit against the law enforcement
Gotcha.
is basically what's going on. So
for
Okay.
they're turning nothing into something
Right.
for no reason other than to get a potential lawsuit out of it.
It's almost like when you see a celebrity or an athlete that's richer than rich and you wanna start shit with them, so they'll
Right,
take a swing at you so
right.
you can
yeah,
sue them.
Something like that, yeah.
So
that's
kinda the same deal.
You got
yeah.
a list
So
ready for us? Oh, go ahead, Brian.
so I was just gonna say, our guys, we just tell them just don't engage. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, because 'cause they're asking you your name, your badge number, all these things, right?
Yeah,
And you have to answer that?
I'll identify myself. I don't care to identify myself. I'm just not going to play the game.
Right,
Plus, if you look close when I've got my uniform on, my name is on my chest. It sits right there. So
right,
you don't want to know who I am? Right there, I am. I'm
right.
not hiding anything. So
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a different question. So, in recent years, you had a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement, and you had
hmm
the Back to Blue, which, in my opinion, kind of was a response to the Black Lives Matter, which I thought
sure.
that could be taken in the wrong in the wrong light. Because I too, me being African American, I back the police all the way. I mean, you
Mhm.
guys protect and serve. I don't
Wait,
care.
you're African American?
Yeah, I'm black,
I don't
bro.
see color, man.
I
Well,
just
you
thought.
should.
I mean,
I don't.
it was 70 degrees today. You got a pool. I just figured he laid out. So
Stayed a little too long out there. But yeah, so with all those movements going on, and there was a lot of racial tension. How do you feel the temperament is now? And when all of that was going on, did you experience anything?
we did experience it in our area. Nothing like some of your bigger cities, your Chicago's, your Cleveland's, St. Louis. I mean, a lot of those bigger cities where it was really getting big. We
Mhm.
saw it, but nothing to that level. Um,
Right.
you asked another part of the question. I can't remember what it was. What was it?
No, just your experience through the whole thing, and kind of what the temperament is now. Do you think things have calmed down?
I do think it's calmed down quite a bit. It's still out there. You still see it, but it's nothing like it was. The levels are not there, but you still hear about it.
Yeah.
Um, from a law enforcement side of it, I think a lot of it is just how we portray ourselves, how we communicate. I mean, if I come across anybody from another race, it doesn't matter, African American, Chinese, it just doesn't matter because we see them all. We try to treat everybody equally because
Mhm.
we don't see race. It's just you're a person just like we are, and we're going to do everything we can to treat you that way. And that's how we teach our younger officers is as a law enforcement officer, this is how you need to act. This is how you need to portray yourself, and this is how our department's going to do it. So,
Yeah. And just like, I will say this just so everyone kind of knows where I stand on it. In every group of whomever you're speaking of, there's bad apples.
oh,
There's
sure,
gonna be bad actors, and I don't care. There's bad salespeople in groups. There's bad, managers in
Yep.
groups. There's bad cops. There's bad everybody. But the
absolutely.
good ones don't get shined on enough. Because I think for every bad cop story you hear, and I hate for anyone to lose their life in any of these situations, but for every bad cop story you hear, I bet there's hundreds of good cop stories that you don't hear.
Oh, absolutely.
I love the story that I always see on Facebook about the cop who was called because some woman was upset at the kids playing basketball in their neighborhood.
Mhm.
They were bouncing the ball too loud. And he shows up because she called, he had to show up. Instead, he gets out of the car,
Starts
starts playing
playing with 'em.
basketball with the
Starts playing
kids.
basketball.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I love that. I love that. And
absolutely.
there's a ton of police officers that do so many wonderful things. I go out of my way whenever I'm walking past anyone in law enforcement to make sure, I give them the head nod, say hi, but I do that with everybody, but, law enforcement
Yeah.
especially because if shit goes down, I want them to be
That's
like,
who you're
"Oh,
calling?
that's a nice guy over there. Let me protect him." I'm like, "Oh, shit. Okay, good."
But yeah, I want to. And you just said it. I mean, and specifically with law enforcement, there's bad apples out there. I mean, we all know that. But it's just like you said, just because there's one bad apple doesn't mean that we all act like that or treat people like that because that's just not how it is.
Right.
We don't hear about the good. The good doesn't make the news, right?
Right.
Ooh, that's
Exactly.
not headline worthy,
It's not
man.
click worthy.
Right.
It's
No.
not headline
Yeah.
worthy. So the good never makes the
Exactly.
news.
Right.
So I think we have to do a list, Brian, that we've started the last 2 episodes. It's a
Oh
list of
Lord.
15 things that live rent free in your head. So we're gonna go over the last 5 today?
Yep, these are the last 5.
These are the last 5, so buckle up. This is a good
Okay.
one.
Living rent free in your head after I say them. So, those who don't move won't notice their chains.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah,
That's it. You
yeah.
don't move, you
Good.
don't even notice that you're chained to the damn wall. All right. So, get out there, make some moves. It's okay to live a life most people don't understand. Be you.
Yeah, that's you, right?
Yeah.
Because the I don't know the percentage of people that are in law enforcement, but it's probably not high.
Yeah. It's.
Probably not
I
high.
think the. I think the percentage is just under 2% of the population.
Yeah. So you're living that
Wow.
life most people don't understand.
Yeah. And we say that all the time. I mean, you don't live my life. You don't see the stuff that I see, so you don't know and understand where I'm coming from.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I understand where you're coming from either, but that's where the communication factor comes in. Let's
Right.
talk about it. Let's figure it out.
Mm,
Yeah. I like that.
I do like that.
What would you do if you were just on patrol? I don't wanna say if you're sitting in your car, because I wouldn't bother you if you're in your car, but if you're, like, walking down the street and I was like, "Hey, man, you know what? I just kinda wanna understand more about what it is you do."
Mhm.
Would you be willing to have that conversation if you're not in a
Oh,
hurry or.
oh, 100%. I have
Yeah.
I have those conversations all the time. I'll go to UDF or Shell Station to get something to drink while I'm on shift, and people come up to me and want to have a conversation. All right, I've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let's sit down and have a conversation.
See,
Hundred
that's
percent.
cool.
I'll have a yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
want to know who
awesome.
I am?
I
I'll
mean,
tell you. Yeah.
I've heard some stories.
Yeah. We'll have you back on just to tell stories because I got a list of questions. I wanna hear stories.
I've heard some stories. What's next?
Alright, the next
Well,
one. If someone could only see your actions and not hear your words, what would they say your priorities are?
Oh, wow.
oh, wow,
Mm,
that's a good one.
yeah, yeah.
Man, where's this list coming
I
from?
don't know. I
Unreal.
don't know. Alright, number 14. You can't have a new reality with an old mentality.
Mm.
Leave it in the
That's good.
rearview mirror.
Oh, it's a rearview mirror for a reason, right? You're looking back.
Yep. Now we've all heard no risk, no reward, but listen to this. No risk, no story. You boring bastard. You have no story.
There's definitely none of that.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Right, tell us
And
one good
yeah,
story. Come on.
I
you're
think he
Gi
you're
knows where
asking
this is
about.
going.
give us one good one.
First of all, I wanna see if we're on the same wavelength, so I'm gonna write down a story that I think Brian is gonna talk about now, and we'll see if he tells it. Go ahead, tell a
Actually,
story about
no,
us.
about us.
Yeah.
Not that time you guys made out, just a
No.
different one, a
So,
different story.
I'm
That's a,
gonna
that's
write
a
down
different
what I think he's gonna say, and we'll see.
story about us.
Yeah, come on, you know.
Well, lead him a little more, Matt.
I'm not leading him.
Yeah, you're gonna have to lead me.
What's it
You're
say?
gonna
What's it
have
say?
to lead me.
Let me see what it
You see
says.
what it says.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
See if we're on the same wavelength here.
I don't think we are because nothing's coming to my mind. You put too much
Alright,
pressure
you
on me.
tell your craziest traffic
You
stop you ever had.
Oh, craziest
Or do
traffic
you
stop.
even pull people over? 'Cause you said you're a sniper.
that was for SWAT.
I'm not.
Oh,
But
that's
he's
for
also
SWAT.
SWAT.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't wanna get sniped while I'm getting pulled over.
No, you'll get sniped.
Like,
He's
shit,
good at 150.
I was only going 5
He'll
over.
he'll take that button
Yeah.
off your collar at 150, bro.
Damn. Little tap, tap.
Craziest. So, are you talking about? Well, craziest. Actually, this is kind of a combination between SWAT and traffic, just
Mm,
running patrol. So I was actually at training. This is, I'm gonna say, probably 2.5, 3 years ago. I was at training one day and my phone rings, and it's my captain telling me, "Hey, we got a situation going on. I need you back." So I looked at my SWAT commander and said, "I got to go. There's something going down." So unfortunately, I got to leave out some of the details on this, so I'll give you the
That's
edited
fine.
version.
Yeah.
mhm.
Um, so I'm heading back, um, on the phone, on the radio the whole time I'm on the way back because this stuff is happening, and I'm a good 20 minutes away. So I've got to run code to get there because they're telling me where I need to be, what they're needing. So I'm getting a good background before I even get there. So basically, what was going on is one particular unit was watching an area, um, for drugs, and they called in assistance. So we had a bunch of guys in the area stationed at different places. So we could make, I think we ended up making 5 or 6 different traffic stops based on what was going on this day. The situation, I got hooked up with one of the sheriff's deputies, and him and I ended up making the biggest stop of all of it. Some of the other guys pulled over a couple of the trucks, and they got the leaders that were involved in it. But we stationed ourselves probably about a quarter mile north of the situation because what they were doing is they were waiting for a couple of specific vehicles to pull out of the area because these were the target vehicles. Well, they put me and one of the sheriff's deputies in the area where they thought they were going to come. I mean, it was basically the only way that they could come based on the vehicles. So they knew they were going to come right at us. So we stationed ourselves out of sight. They pulled out. They notified us that they were en route. They pass us. Me and the sheriff's deputy pull out. I grab the 18-wheeler. Deputy grabs the U-Haul box truck, and I'm in full SWAT gear, pulling a car over. I get up to the driver, and he didn't know what to think, what was going on. But all in all, we ended up getting $2.2 million worth of
Damn.
items out of the stop,
Damn.
and the U-Haul truck was completely full. So it was a good day.
Mm,
Ah,
damn.
alright.
Nice.
Yeah,
Applause
Nice.
there. Wait, don't we have an
yeah,
applause
getting
button?
yeah,
You finding that applause button. Hold on, wait for the
getting
applause button. We do. Here it is.
yay!
There we go.
So yeah, getting drugs off the streets. So
First
That's
time we've
right.
ever used that. Well, that is not at all the story I was gonna tell.
of course it
Not at all
wasn't.
the story I thought you were gonna tell.
And
It
as soon as you show this, I'm gonna go, oh yeah,
it was the best couple contest.
oh yes, it was. So
Mr.
same trip, wasn't it?
Is this the right podcast, Cindy?
Absolutely, this
Hey,
is the right
I
podcast for
mean,
this is
this.
wasn't this was the same trip, wasn't it?
I think
Or was
it
this the
was
second
no, it
time
was
we went?
maybe a second trip. So, when you go to resorts in Mexico or whatever, they always play little games.
Yes,
And one of the games was a couples contest where you're popping balloons on each other in various ways. I'm sure you've seen this. The husbands and wives get up there.
so
So,
we're sitting.
I go up
Matt and I
there.
are sitting watching this.
So,
We're
I go
sitting
up
in the
there.
water.
I sign up,
Go
but
ahead.
I don't tell him I put his name with mine. So I
ah.
go up there and I put my name on the board, then I put his name on the board, and the guy running it is like, "You sure?" I said, "Absolutely." So
100%.
he starts calling off the names, and he's like, "Okay, next I need Matt and Bryan." And he just looks at me like, "Really?" I said, "Let's go, sweetheart."
Oh my gosh.
So you had to pop a balloon when, I'm sitting in a chair, the balloon's in my lap. You had to sit on my lap and pop it.
Oh, what
Oh
a
no 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 no! Hey Naeem, I took a running start
He did.
and landed in his lap to pop the
at
balloon.
least you made it funny.
Broke the
Thank
chair,
you.
popped the
Broke the
balloon, and we're
chair.
sitting in a plastic chair. It broke.
Oh, Lord, because between the 2 of you, I mean, it's damn near 500 pounds.
So
It might be more.
there was another one where um, I am facing away from him and have the balloon on my back, we'll call it, and he had to charge me and pop it that way.
Oh,
Yep.
Lord.
Hey, we won. We were best couple.
Well,
I still
congratulations.
still have the
And
T-shirt.
right.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I think we may do this again. This was a good one. Get some questions answered, maybe.
We have to, man. You were fantastic. You've got a lot of great stories that we still wanna hear. So this was great.
This was great. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Brian, for taking time out of your night. I know you're a busy, busy man, never able to really
Absolutely.
turn it off. So we're going to do this again.
Yeah. Hey, before you go, give everybody one tip. You get pulled over, what do you do?
Just do what the officer asks you to do. Be
All right.
compliant. Keep it simple. Just answer their questions, do what they ask you to do, and he will let you go on your way.
What's the best way to get out of a ticket?
You're not getting that information.
Yeah, yeah. Do I need to show a little titty or what? I mean, let me know. I'm not opposed.
You got to start unbuttoning that shirt a little bit.
Right.
Sorry, officer.
Fluff up the chest a little bit and start flirting with you.
I'll have to look at you and say the same thing I say to them. Doesn't work with my wife. It's not going to work for you.
Oh.
All right.
Man. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man. I think we're done
Absolutely.
here.
All right.
Good to
Have a
see you
great
guys.
night.
We'll see
You
you.
too.